Okay, this is part 2 of my trash can enclosure build, so stay tuned. Alrighty, this week I started by adding the trim to both of the sides. I would simply hold the picket into place and then use a pencil to mark where it needed to be cut and then screw it into place. I did this for the front, the back, and also the top and the bottom. And of course, whatever I did to the left side, I repeated and did to the right. I moved on to making the trim for the front of the shed, and I did this by ripping down some of the wider fence pickets with my Triton work center. Now, a lot of these pickets have a slight bow to them, or a big bow to them, and I made sure to place that bow so it was curving in so that as I was screwing it down, it would suck itself into the wood. Then it was on to making the doors. I set up a stop block at the miter saw, once again utilizing the feature of my multi-stand, and cut all of my boards to length first. And I used the work center to rip down the last picket to the exact size I needed the door. I'm once again using the bottom of the shed as a work surface, and I started by laying out all the boards that will make up the door, then coming back and adding the trim pieces. Once all the trim was in place, I started attaching the hinge hardware, first adding it to the door, then setting the door in place on the shed and attaching it to the actual structure. So that one is hitting on the bottom, this one is hitting on the top, and this is just a little bit womper. So to fix that, I'm going to add in some braces. And adding in these cross braces completely fixed the problem. I attached one end to the frame, then had Cody help me hold it in square while I attached the other. And then I started making the roof, or the lids. I decided to make 2 lids instead of one giant lid. I went through and spaced them exactly the way I needed them, then I came back with some cross braces and screwed them down to hold all the pickets together. On the first lid, I tried nailing the cross braces directly on top and then flipping the lid around. It worked pretty good, other than getting attacked by a tree. Or maybe I attacked the tree. When it came time to do the other lid, I decided to try a different tactic, and I crawled inside and attached the braces from the underside. And this actually worked a lot better. Once both of the lids were assembled, I had Cody come and help me hold up the lids while I attached the hinges to the back. Cool.
Yeah, that's gonna be great.
To trim up the lids, I grabbed my circular saw, hopped on top, and then just ran a clean line across. Then I hopped down and moved the shed in its permanent place. The slick grass makes it easy to move, but also easy to slip. Okay, so my intention with this is to lift this lid open the trash can lid inside, and then toss a bag of trash in. But even though this lid is slatted, it's still a little bit heavy, and I think it would just be way too awkward to have to hold this open while fiddling around inside. So what I've been playing around with is I put a gas shock on the back of this one, and not only does it help with the assist of opening it up, but it also keeps it open. This means that I need a latch in order to keep it closed, but I think that's better than the alternative. So I'm going to add a shock to the other side and show you how I did it. I first added some scrap framing material to the lid and the back of the structure. Then I slightly had to modify the shock, primarily just drilling holes in it so I could run a bolt through it. I had to play around with the placement of these shocks because where you place them determines the amount of resistance you have whenever you're trying to lower the door. So once I got the placement of one of them down, then I just repeated that placement for the other. I added a little bit of grease to the bolt where it was going to be connecting with the shock. Then I added 2 nuts and flat washers on either side so that I could suck the shock down to this piece of wood. Then it was just a matter of adding some simple latching hardware to the front so you can keep the lid shut when it's not in use. Okay, now let's put the trash cans inside. Now my trash can is full, but you can still see how easy it is to move inside. And here you can see how easy it is to pull it out, again, even though it's completely full. Yay! I love it when things work. So if you imagine this is a bag of trash, I would come up and open up the lid, and I would open up the trash can inside and toss in the trash. But then whenever it's trash day, I would open up the front door and actually wheel the bin out to the curb. But this way, whenever they're sitting in my backyard, they're just a little bit more appealing to look at. Now, of course, I still need to give it a coat of paint, but since I use treated wood, I'm gonna have to wait another week or two. So follow me on Instagram if you wanna see the final product. And of course, if you wanna build your own, I do have a full set of plans on my website. There's a link for you in the description if you're interested. That's it for this one. I'm pretty happy with the way that it turned out, and I will see you next time. Okay, one last addition for this project. Came out here during the night and it's just a little bit too dark. So I'm gonna go ahead and add in some LED flood lamps to this area so that we can see. Now, these lights come from Mart, and not only are they really efficient because they're LED lights, but they're also made for the average DIYer homeowner. You don't need to know anything about wiring to hook these up. I started mounting the light by first taking the bracket off of the light and attaching it to my building. Then reattaching it using the hardware that comes with the light. All of the cables come with quick connect fittings on them that are waterproof, so making connections between lamps are easy. This cord will go off to the second lamp, whereas this cord will be routed to an outlet that is controlled by a timer. Now, Mart was cool enough to give me a $50 coupon code, so if you're in need of some outdoor flood lamps, then you can use the code AW50 at checkout if you're wanting to purchase some of these. So, of course, the link is in the description for you. What do you think?
Very cool.
Yeah.
I love it.
Thanks.
I think it's great. Good job. I like it. Mm-hmm. Yep.